Parental guidance is advised.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your most authoritative entertainment showbiz analysis program on television. It's called Simply Showbiz. It's such a pleasure to be your guest this morning. I'm glad that you're on the other side watching us from your homes. And you want to tell a friend that we are on with another educative, exciting, and of course, packed with information. This morning on the show, we'll be talking about something that you already have spoken about in your homes, you've discussed with your friends, and you're not too sure where to place these folks, or you are not too sure what to make of the information they bring you, even though they are a great source of information. The bloggers, yes, we'll be talking about them. A lot of them have blamed them. A lot of you actually have blamed them for a lot of things that happens in your home. But let's get down to knowing what their business is about and what we need to correct. If there need be a correction, we'll definitely discuss that. And look at the legal aspect also later when we have a legal brain join us. But I want to say thank you to Vigilia Couture for my outfit. I'm sure you're loving it. They asked me to stand so that you can see the full outfit. And so I want to say special thanks to her. And she's into bespoke clothing. And she says that you can get all the trendiest outfits and fashion styles simply by calling her or sending her a WhatsApp message on 0547 852220, 0547 852220, and that's how you get to interact with Vigilia. You can also get interactive with us here by commenting on our Facebook Live streams as we stream live the show on Facebook. Also, there's a need for you to know which song is made it to #1 this week on the 3FM countdown. Let's enjoy that when we're back. There's some conversation to be had here with some bloggers and, of course, a legal brain.
Follow me, follow me, follow me.
No, 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 nothing that lasts forever. Where you did, I go date you. 'Cause this love is joke, slow down, slow down, wine pon the cocky, 10 toes, one girl, make it touch it, touch it, touch it.
Charlie nigga say with him say what you block. And they do fugazi in this corner, bro. Before you cop the Lamborghini truck.
You put your body on me, yeah. Put my money on you, yeah. Put the dollar on you, yeah.
All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is Simply Showbiz. My name is Miss G, and today we are talking about blogging, the essences. Are there any to discuss at all? Because there's been some concerns raised by people in this industry about blogs, which is supposed to be a conduit for relevant information. You know, you want to access news, you go to the blogs. Everything that needs to be told you, definitely, sometimes, mostly, and very often you read it through the blogs. How reliable are these information that you find on the blogs? Are they information that you can bank on? People say that the headlines are worrying, and that's the problem. So, for instance, I've heard stories about a certain Kojo entry who is living somewhere, goes to do something, and they say, oh, Kojo entry has stabbed a man to death, and people are thinking about the legendary musician Kojo entry. Is that a conflict? Or it's just that people do have to read the story to find out who this Kojo entry is? We get to find out more because we have a blogger in our midst. Kobiche is a renowned blogger. He's known in Ghana, of course, and beyond. And he's been championing the Fix the Country campaign. But also we have Halifax Ansado, who is also a very seasoned writer, now a presenter as well. He caused a lot of chaos during his days as a writer. He's looking at me. That's what I read. You know, he's looking at me. I'm not sure he's he's excited about that. But William Eseidu knows that it's true. William also writes, and William is a journalist. He also is the president for the Art Writers Association of Ghana, Artwag, and he will be sharing his expertise from back in the day. I was telling somebody that William would tell us what happened back in the day versus what is happening today, and also Halifax also has that experience from back in the day, and they all bring it on board. Kobe will join us. He's already in the studio. He'll join us quickly, but let's start off the conversation with William. You're welcome, gentlemen, though.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I keep saying to people that, oh, you're going to bring us back in the day conversation, you know, and then the thing that comes to me often is that how has this space changed? In your days, you were writing mostly for print, you know, and now we are doing internet writing, we call it blogs and all of that. How different are these two spaces?
The difference is that blogging, as I know it, is self-published. So the individual just writes and then it goes directly online without a lot of processing in terms of the content that is going online. That's the marked difference that I see. For instance, when I came to the Mirror in 1998, even the stories that you do, you discuss at a meeting called conference. The conference will take into consideration the human interest, the national interest, and all the interests. That's number one. Then there's a proofreader who look at the language. There's a sub-editor who look at the flow of the story. And there's an editor who take responsibility for the story. But with a blogger, does he have this team at his disposal? My answer is no. So then the danger comes. And the danger may be that the language may not be as strong as it should be, because you cannot be a jack of all trades in terms of the content that you put out. Because journalism, as I know, you, the reporter, you hit the ground, you pick the information, you process it. The processing is where the problem is with the bloggers. Because the information is, as I said, sometimes it's live. Somebody sees something and the video is on and the caption goes with it. But in the regular newsroom, you pick video. Before you even send somebody to do live broadcast, you have to have a very experienced individual to do live broadcast. But with the bloggers, I'm asking myself, well, they are doing excellently well in the space because that's what it is now. But what training have they had? What training have they had in terms of mass media communication? Because communication has a lot of angles, interpersonal, mass media and all that. But when it has to be mass media, it must be processed. And that's where the challenge is.
The challenge is for you.
So that's the difference between then and now.
And now.
The processing bit of the information that they...
So if I get all the things that you're trying to say to me, it means that you don't seem to consider them as professional writers or well-trained journalists.
Well, as I said, they are doing well. Blogging, as I've read the literature, is about writing. It's like a diary that you keep online. And maybe you are a blogger on shoes. So as soon as I mention your name, Kobiche, this shoe, is it synthetic or is genuine leather? You have done so much work in that. You should be able to tell me because that's your space. So once you've given me that understanding, I expect that whatever you bring on air shouldn't have problems in terms of the content.
But that's not the case now.
I see what I call a lot of them when I see stuff in terms of even the caption, the language. Because communication is about language. That's a tool. So if you're not abreast of the trends in the language, maybe some people will say journalists when it comes to journalism, because we also have our language. The bloggers, are they developing their own language? That's another question. But the general language of English, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Subject-verb agreement, you cannot change it. You cannot say he have. He have a case. But if that's why there's a need for processing. That's why we have a proofreader in the newsroom. That's why we have a sub-editor, because you may have nose for news, but not eye for proofreading. Or the
language.
Exactly. So these are the issues that I'm trying to...
I'm going straight to Kobe because you are the only blogger seated amongst us. And we hear this often. You guys are, for lack of, and not to offend you, categorized. Anyway, that's a category, bloggers, you know, and most often made to feel like it's substandard works that you do. On this note, I would like to know what your background is, because I want to see, just oppose what he said to what you tell me. Did you have to school to be a blogger? Did you have to go to the journalism school and all of that? He's laughing.
Thank you, and I mean, a very good morning to everyone watching. I love the explanation that he gave regards to the fact that when it comes to journalism, I mean, it goes through process, like the news editor, the producer, all these things it goes through. When it comes to the blogging space, it is me sharing my own opinion on my site or, I mean, on my blog.
Is that what you people do? You people write news items, you write articles, you go do interviews and translate them into articles. It's not your opinion, it's somebody's opinion you're writing.
So way back, that's how blogging started.
Okay.
But in 21st century, the narrative is changing. Now you see bloggers going for the news, breaking the news. Last 3 days, I went as far as Techiman to cover a school in the Bono region, which is, I mean, something that raw journalism, I mean, you guys should be doing, but now bloggers are doing. But back to my background. So I read music in the university. I did music education with communication. So after my music education and the communication bit, I never had any like going for any journalism school, but I had to do a lot of reading online. I have to do a lot of reading online and also seek advice from others. And so, like I said, if you rightly follow me, you know that my kind of blogging is quite different from the rest.
But is it fair when they say that you guys need that journalistic training, or you need to have gone through the schooling of the process and all of that, and it cannot just be only you writing and not proofreading and all of that? Do you agree per what William has said?
Yes, I mean, I agree. I've been on a lot of platforms, and I mean, I've said that because, like I said earlier, the narrative is changing. And so now people are beginning to trust news which are coming from the blogs. Anytime Sami K, Zion, myself, we write something out there, people believe, same as TV3. So if that's the narrative, it means that we should also consciously have some level of education in attached to what we are doing. Because at the end of the day, like you said, back then it was just sharing your opinion. But now the narrative has changed, so you need to get the communication language to pass on to the people watching. Other than that, people are going to jab us, going to insult us. So I think that I agree with him, we need to really have some level of education. I mean, it could be online. These days, you don't have to go and sit in the classroom before you're going to acquire education. You can do a lot of courses online. So I agree, even though we are still sharing opinion, but now, how the world is going and how information and news is going, I think that bloggers, I mean, in Ghana, and I've done a lot of research, a lot of bloggers in the Western world are now trying to go into getting some level of education to attach to their craft and what they're doing. So
first, they get to have the blogs first and then look for education. Well, that's fair enough. Halifax, I said to you that you have been doing writing in the past. News One, you know, there's been a lot of, I like the way William is smiling. There's been a lot of talk about Halifax. I said this, I didn't say that. He wrote this and I'm not supposed to, I didn't expect him to write that headline and all of that. But you have transitioned, you know, from writing for print to an era where you're with us now and blogs seems to be the in thing. Do you think that we should take them as a credible source of news? You know, having come from the background that you have with all that William said, because I know that yours also goes through proofreading and all the, you know, the mechanism that is put in place. Are we supposed to accept them as a credible source of information?
Thank you, but let me clarify a bit. I'm still very much active in writing. I mean, I'm not with the Daily Guide and News One, but I'm with a new publisher and the Thunder newspaper. And
have you, because you say you're still very much active, have you slowed down on the style that we're used to?
When I was with News One and I was writing entertainment, showbiz, arts and culture, that was more sensational, more eye-grabbing. So it generated a lot of hey. But the publisher and the tender newspapers are more political. So I think people are getting fed up with it. The president said this, and John Mahama denied, and the GDP is this, and they would increase road tolls. It doesn't come with that razzmatazz of News One that I would say that Miss G shows boobs.
Hey,
when we say boobs, everybody is interested.
That's the problem. That's his problem with blogs. Yeah, the headline. And,
so now let us.
No, it's not a problem. It's a challenge.
So now let me enter the blogging space from there. Look, we talk too much in this country. What are the bloggers doing? Many of the so-called professionally trained journalists from the most accredited institutions are more reckless than the bloggers we are attacking.
Really?
Yes. when we entered this journalism space, we were trained by people like William. You remember, Accra Mail in those days, he was one of the first persons go and train him how to write, he and Alaji Gomda. But by then, we were hearing of people in his caliber who would go and write all sorts of stories. I don't want to mention names of newspapers, but you remember the Jojo Chicken Saga. Journalists were doing it in this country. They will fabricate today, they will forge tomorrow. Even when libel was criminal, they were always being lined up and sent to court anyway. So when I'm like, what new are they doing that we've not heard before? We're making it seem as if because, you know, they wouldn't fight back, because this is a new thing they are doing. We seem to be highlighting their wrongs and forgetting that those of us in mainstream traditional media do almost the same thing. The difference is that, as I said, it was on blogs is basically your personal opinion. You can blog on health, politics, this, that, sex, whatever. But these days, it is metamorphosing into a new form of journalism where event organizers actually invite bloggers. And they feel that gives them better mileage than inviting a traditional
TV station
Because you are now coming, you come, news editor, this. Look, Shatawale goes to misbehave at somebody's construction site. They picked it up even before all of us picked it up. So people feel, so when the person also wants to respond, he went to them. And it went faster. My kid brother wouldn't bother to read a newspaper, but we are all behind our phones. Nobody is born a good blogger, or nobody is born a good journalist. It takes training, constant training and constant training. As I said, in our case, when you want to join a media house, you are asked, where did you school, blah, 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 blah. But blogging is more of a self-entrepreneur sort of. No matter how trained you are as a journalist, if you want to be an irresponsible blogger, you will be anyway. So no matter how untrained you are as a blogger, if you want to be very professional and balance your acts, you would anyway. So that is it. We're making it seem as if you ask, should we accept them? Do we have a choice? The question is, should they rather accept us? They are taking over. Yeah, so if you say, should we accept them, as if we have some exclusive rights in the media space and we determine, as for bloggers, they are the second.
But we say that all the time. For instance, we've seen a lot of publications, blame the blogger, and I blame the blogger. For instance, I saw a publication I saw it online, so I can make reference to it. Rockstone asks us to blame bloggers when Equipping Polo was picked up. She says, blame the blogger. We made a fuss out of the bloggers made a fuss out of it. That's why she was picked up. Anything that happens, I'm sure that you've heard stories about people being interviewed and says, blame the blogger. I never said that. You play the video, it might be same, but they said, I never said that. So if you check, most of the time, the bloggers are placed in a space that looks like they are very unprofessional and they don't follow the ethics of journalism.
That is why I started by saying we talk too much. We are over-highlighting the few errors. I'm not saying it's a perfect space, but it's a new thing they are doing. It's a new enterprise. Give them time. When we returned to constitutional democracy in this country, and then press freedom was allowed, it was, as you remember, everybody started newspaper here, newspaper there. It was more reckless than what we are seeing today. Talk to the Kweku Bakuns. Give them time. Now, when people are even inviting bloggers, they now, deceive. Say, Kobi Che DNM say he will do what we want. Samike, because of his credibility, he has the mileage. So they are beginning to sieve the wheat from the chaff. We would all settle. And then, just as how today, Ms. G, there are newspapers that are more reckless than bloggers. In conclusion, it's a matter of training and personal responsibility.
I'll come to Kobi, who is a blogger, but you wanted to say something in response to what he said, as as he's speaking about, there's nothing new that these folks are doing. You are that, like he said, he doesn't want to mention papers. So I also want to mention papers, but papers in past where you've seen headlines, which is like, you've seen even graphics. That you're asking yourself, what happened?
I can give you an example. I was working for Ambassador Gina Blay when I was at the Daily Guide. And then there was a newspaper headline that Gina Blay was hospitalized at 37. The next time they said she was, they said, no, she's not. They said she would die anyway. Oh, yes, it's happening in this country. And what would you do? And it is still happening. Today, the president's brother has taken some journalists to court. Last month or so, the former president's brother took Abu Apapun to court. Are they bloggers? are they not in mainstream media space?
So it means that, so from what Halifax has said, it means that the system is already corrupt. You can't blame the bloggers for it.
You know, that's where I would want to advise that in trying to better your craft, the assumption has always been to learn the best practices. Good. But I also want to say that it's also good to learn from the negatives.
Okay.
So he has made the point that there were a lot of negatives. And where did those negatives get us? You know, so that's why I made the point that the bloggers were doing well. I even used the word excellent because of what it is that they are doing today. Unfortunately, if you take Graphic Showbiz, which came out in 1999, if I'm right, because I was with them.
That's true.
Where is the editor of Graphic Showbiz in the social media space? Because Graphic Showbiz is more like the mark of arts writing then,
Yeah.
and even now, so to some extent.
With regards
Or,
to print
yes,
media, it is.
Take Spectator, which is also supposed to be doing tourism, arts, culture, which we are interested in. Where is the editor of that newspaper in the blogging, or if you like, the social media space? TV3, the news editor or the entertainment news editor, where is he or she in the space? So one thing that is missing that we should address is that those of us who claim to be trained and have the capacity to do what it is that we are all looking up to, we are missing in the social media space. I, sitting here, don't remember the last time I wrote on social media or published anything personally on social media. So what I'm advising is that we should move beyond just the conversation.
So you mean that those who claim to be very trained,
yes, because you see,
are missing in the
exactly.
internet world?
Yes, because people also learn by seeing. If the seniors quoted, the Nanabeyi Datsins, the Adukwe Moffats, the Adjoa Bonsu,
the Francis
Dokus, these are 20, I'm 23 in the media today. If we take charge, those reading from the blogs will have a point of comparison. But we are missing. And sometimes it is not healthy for us to do we and them. Because that's what has been since 2004, so when Facebook started, if I'm right, you are there. You know, so I'm encouraging the seniors to begin to... I went for an interview for a top job. And the chairman of the interview committee asked me what I'm bringing new to the space. And I said, what I made that boss, that leader, that head, I'm going to make all the editors bloggers. And it sounded funny to them. I mean, you are doing your normal work, but you should have a blog or get it. And somebody asked, did you read the adverts that we published? You see, so that we and them mentality is there. And if we don't confront it like this, like I'm doing, it's going to be problematic. Because if at that level, and I'm talking about somebody who is super solid in the communication space in this country, asking me whether I read
the publication,
the adverts that brought me to that interview. I said I was going to make all the editors bloggers.
So there's a huge
because
gap
people
between...
see, people see blogging or the blogging space as some place for some people who have just want to make money, just want to film negative things that will trend. But as we have all agreed and accepted this morning, that is where the so-called news is being promoted, is being produced, is being disseminated. So are we ready for news or we are ready for opinions? When I'm not talking about opinions, I'm talking about opinions. My own thing where that I've picked on.
So if I get that right, it's a translation of the news.
Yes, because that's
in the person's through the person's lenses.
Yes, because you see, blogging started with opinions, and as Kobe rightly mentioned, the bloggers have now become the carriers of news. But that element of opinion is still with them. That is why you read their caption. I call them. I'm the president of the Arts and Tourism Writers. You made a mistake and said Arts Writers. The Arts and Tourism Writers Association of GH Ghana.
Artwork.
Artwork. We are interested in even the way you write, so that it doesn't become an opinion. If you want it to be an opinion, we know what an opinion is. If you want it to be a news, that one you and I cannot do anything about it. If it's news, it must be news.
Follow the regulations.
And exactly. So that's why I disagree with someone who says, I mean, the news is not news. That's why I have a problem also when people who are just media practitioners call themselves journalists. If you call yourself a media practitioner, I have no problem. But if you call yourself a journalist, I have a problem. Because journalism goes with certain ethics, certain tenets. It's in the brackets that if you go outside it, you become anybody who works in the media. The camera people are media practitioners. If you are a presenter, you're a media practitioner. If you, whatever you do, you can be an editor or whatever. But if you don't have a training, the certificate, I don't see you as a journalist. If you call yourself a media practitioner, no contest. It is controversial, but that's my personal opinion. So that we will put news in the hands of those who are trained to handle news and put opinion in the hands of everybody, because that's opinion. The Constitution guarantees that you should have an opinion. You understand what I'm saying? So even if you look in the Constitution, they make room for journalism. The National Media Commission is in the Constitution. And there's a reason for that. Because if you mishandle information, the danger you cannot handle.
Kobe, before I take a break, I quickly want to come to you. Most of the problems that people have raised has got to do with caption. I know that you have constantly said, I am a different kind of blogger and I do positive news. I don't know what that means anyway. You know, I do positive news and all of that. But most often, the problem with most of the people, have is with the caption. I give an example where I've seen a story that says, and I keep using that example because it's very much online and people can verify that, oh, a certain Kojo entry has stabbed somebody or something. And then you go read the story. It's some Kojo entry living in some village somewhere.
Why is that Kojo entry?
Well, he is, but people have a problem. Why wouldn't you just distinguish him from the very well-known than driving traffic to your blog? I'm asking you, Kobe, because that's your space.
All right, so for me, I'm sharing my opinion. And I think that, for instance, I mean, I want to interview Ms. G, and I mean, you say the right thing. I mean, whichever way you put your stuff, and I twist the headline, or I misquote you. I don't think that it is right for me, because a lot of bloggers probably are thinking of traffic and getting views on YouTube.
Do you believe that they misquote people, they twist headlines? Is that what you people, not true, but you find yourself in the space, so you're one of them. Is that what happens?
I've seen that a lot. I've seen that a lot, and we've seen our stars, our superstars complaining that I never said this. You see the headline.
When they say that, do you take the time to listen to either the audio or the video to see whether it tallies with the headline?
That's what I'm saying, that sometimes you go into the story, open the site, the website, the blog, you go into it, and if you watch the video critically, you notice that what the person said is different from the headline. And blogs are using those headlines because they want to get traffic. And that's my problem, because I feel that if I should use that headline, a lot of people, we are in a country, chunk of Ghanaians don't really read the full story. They just read the caption and they go, oh, Mizi has done that, Mizi has done that. So we are misleading people. So let's get that right. The fact that you didn't say this and I'm trying to twist it to get viewership is wrong. Again, what light are you putting into? I mean, what light are you putting the person into? We've had cases where Kwame Eugene, Stoneboy, all of them have said that they went outside, and at the embassy, or I mean the interviews they went to, I mean, have outside, the presenter will tell them, I saw this headline, this and this, and it is bringing them down. It is actually bringing them down. So we also need to think about the image of
But the question is, those headlines, did they happen, or it was falsely reported?
So it is two things. But let me break it down. I interview you, and you say whatever you want to say. Like I said earlier, using the headline, sometimes the caption, the tonation of the caption, I don't know, probably it might be good for others, but I see something wrong with it. That let's be mindful of the tonation of our headlines, because at the end of the day, like I said, you are putting the person in hot soup. It might be true, but caption out the money per
It might be true. So okay, we want to take a break. When we come back, I'm sure Halifax and William will have something to say. Let's quickly take a break. When we are back, we'll talk more about the headlines. We'll seek a legal perspective as well. Back, we'll be talking about blogging in Ghana, the SSS. We have William Esiedu, who is the president of the Arts and Tourism Writers Association of Ghana, ARTWAG, and also next to him is Halifax Ansado, the man who is known for putting words together and getting all the bars around his stories. He says he's not stopped. It's just that he's moved away from the raspatas that comes with writing for Showbiz. And then we have Kobe Che as well, who is a blogger in the studio with me, Miss G, and definitely Kobe was going to tell us more about headlines because that seems to be the major thing for a lot of people.
Exactly.
And you say that, oh, you're thinking about, what light are you throwing on the person and all of that.
Yes.
So there's a story that I want to make reference to, and it's not only Israelite that has been a victim of that. Where there's a blog that says that he was dead. Of course, Israel is alive and kicking. And there's one also that said Sarkodie had crashed, and things like that. Are we supposed to say these ones are spoof sites, or we should admit them as one of you?
I mean, they're all part of us.
Hey, sir.
They're all part of us. That's why we need to have that education. And like I like what Hali said, that a time will come. Naturally, we're going to sieve
The wheat from the chaff.
to see the people who are really doing the good thing. And like you mentioned, Sarkodie has crashed and is a lie, that note, and that's misleading. You can still use the positive headlines to get people to read.
So for people, it's about the clickbaits, but let's go on the line and speak to lawyer Bobby Banson, who will share with us whether there are specific laws and regulations when it comes to this space. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hello?
As I want to find out from you, we're talking about blogging and excesses that comes with it. I want to know whether there are specific and well-outlined regulations that concerns the space.
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir? Okay, unfortunately, I don't think you can hear me. I will continue in studio. So when we were on a break, Halifax and William were having an argument about headlines. Halifax doesn't seem to admit that, some of the headlines that mentions names that people can trace who are famous should be, well treated. You don't seem to understand why a Kojo entry cannot be used in a murder case when we know that we have one that stands out of all the numerous Kojo entries.
I'm saying that it is not criminal when a Kojo entry who stays in Wale Southwest dies and you say Kojo entry is dead. There is nothing criminal about that. You may talk ethics, you may talk sensitivity, but you can't send him to court over this.
But who is this Kojo entry? Nobody knows him. We only know one huge one that stands tall amongst them.
When nobody is who? The 3 people in Wale, are they more Ghanaian than the 5 people in Accra? If you are talking about excesses in blogging, then go to what you spoke about, lies, clear misquoting. And there are laws from this cyber laws to the normal media laws that will deal with them. But let us not overstretch it, that because you are called Miss G, if I marry another Miss G and say Halifax marries Miss G, then they will sue that paper for saying that I've married a Miss. Are you the only Miss G in the world? What would you tell have you customized the name Miss G? Do you have a patent on it? So this ones, if we are talking about clear misbehavior, I'm not sure.
Oh, you admit that it's some misbehavior?
Of course. I didn't hear me say that the recklessness among some bloggers is the same recklessness among some mainstream journalists in traditional media, and that maybe we are even worse corporates. Yes, so I agree. And they are clearly defined ways of dealing with it. From the cyber law to those defamation laws and whatnot. But let us not stretch it to, if a Kojo entry is dead and I say Kojo entry is dead, you say because there is one popular Kojo entry, what law would they use in I mean, did I say Kojo entry, the musician?
Well, let's go back on the phone line where lawyer Bobby Banson joins us. Thank you for joining us. So I was asking you initially whether there are clear outlined rules or laws regarding blogging in Ghana.
Good morning, and thanks for having me to your viewers and listeners as well. If I see your question, that are specific laws that govern blogging in Ghana. Hello, can you hear me?
We're here. We can hear you.
Okay, there are not any laws that govern blogging.
Okay, so let me ask specifically. This is what we've been trying to find an agreeing point on. So we've been given an example. For instance, if I, Miss G, and let me use myself in this case. Oh, too bad. So the line dropped again. I think that we'll have that conversation another time with him. But William, you seem to disagree with him.
You see, that's why I said that when you want to deal with news, you cannot go outside the journalistic tenets. Reporting that or saying that somebody is dead cannot be an opinion.
So he says this Kojo is in Wale Wale.
No, I'm coming. I'm saying that if you want to say in the media, the mass media, that somebody is dead, it can never be an opinion. So that kind of thing is what we call news reporting. And that one is inside the bracket of journalism. And when it comes to names, some names make news makers. You understand? So you as a journalist, you'll be trained to know that if there's a name out there that is making news, and there's another name similar to it, and that person is dead, what's the news in that Wale Wale? It is not to say that he's nobody or he's somebody. It is the name that is the news. Death, everybody will die. So if somebody dies, you know, it is the name that will make it newsier for anybody to want to put it on the front page. And then you are putting Kojo Entry's name out there because Kojo Entry has made news and he's a newsmaker. And you want to ride on that to report that a certain Kojo Entry in Wale Wale is dead. Whatever you say on this show, whatever you say anywhere, we know that you want to just capitalize on the name of the musician Kojo Entry and not that Wale Wale or Bolga Kojo Entry. That's nothing you can do about it. You can sit here and say anything. Let me finish. You can sit here and claim anything, say anything, but that's the facts. And facts are sacred. You cannot do anything about that.
No, let me ask a blogger how he would have reported it. So for instance, let me ask him how he would have reported it.
Because if you put Kojo Entry dead on a front page,
99.9%
of
Ghanaians... that is not of the Kojo Entry that you know.
Don't put picture. Put Kojo Entry is dead.
One of the laws in defamation, one of the defenses is truth. And you know it.
Journalism is not just about crime,
Jesus Christ
just committing offenses. We also have values. You understand what I'm saying? You have to put
so when you send such a blogger to court, and he says, my lord, my defense is truth. This is the man's death certificate. His name is Kojo Entry. What would you tell? My lord?
Let me answer it. It is not everything that we put in the criminal brackets. It is not everything that we put in the criminal. People also have lives to lead.
So what is it crime? That is what I'm asking you.
You see why you insist on crime?
Is it criminal?
There's value in life.
Well, then we are talking about two different things. If you are talking values,
you see, as a journalist, you shouldn't just
when it comes to issues of values, morality, the yardstick is very, very different.
But not to deal with somebody's life in the space of.
But who is that somebody?
That somebody, you see, in Ghana.
Is the Wale Wale Kojo Entry not a somebody? Is he not dead?
Let me answer you. In Ghana, if he says somebody or you'll be or not say he's somebody, what does it mean? You're asking me, is he not somebody? I don't want to say he's not somebody. But in Ghana, yes, if they say somebody is somebody, what does it mean?
Well,
it means the person has come up to a certain level.
If we want to talk about excesses, okay, in the media space, now blogging has become media. Let us not overstretch it.
Because nothing new has happened.
No, let us not overstretch to include names that may represent somebody, may not represent somebody. There are more serious issues of clear lies, of clear misinformation, of clear blackmail, of clear misquoting, of clear alarmist and panicking. Those ones I would agree.
Let me ask you one very sincere question.
There's a news media
William, please hold on.
That you are dead.
So hold on.
How do you feel?
Hold on. But for the fact that you want people to come to your site, wouldn't it have been appropriate to say Wale Wale Kojo Entry dies?
Exactly.
Well,
look at you.
Look at you. You've asked me a question.
I'm waiting for an answer.
Headline should be sexy.
Oh, look at this.
Sexy. Listen, headline should be short and straight to the point. When am I going to start with Wale Wale? I don't have space.
Wow.
Oh, Chief, please.
Have I misinformed anybody?
You have to be creative.
Have I misinformed anybody? So there are more crucial errors that we can talk about. And forget about this similarity in names.
Playing with death, you think it's trivial?
Forget about these similarities in names. Those ones, please. I mean,
let's talk to you about the challenges that you face. So you've said that all the spoof and all this have become part of you. So you're admitting that you have, truants in your midst. That's a good word to use, or you have unprofessionals.
Well,
unprofessionals in your midst. Does that put a dent on you yourself, Kobiche?
Yes, of course. I mean, I've worked into corporate offices where I introduced myself as a blogger, and I got denied.
Oh.
Several times. I moved into corporate offices Okay, so who is this gentleman? He's a blogger. Oh, these people. Oh. So generally, the perception of what the ordinary Ghanaians, I mean, you can just hit the streets, get a voice pop and ask people, what do you think about, what do you generally think about bloggers? Gossip, 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 gossip. So the name blogging is not, I mean, we are all doing well. We have the unprofessional people, but the perception about bloggers in Ghana, for me, I think that is bad, and it is affecting me as a person, because there are some gigs I have to get, I mean, very good money. They will tell you that, oh, blogger, this bloggers. It means that some contents that we put out are not quote unquote.
Have you guys thought of having an umbrella body with regulations that will, get you people, put you all in line?
Yes, we've had a lot of meetings. Myself, Zion, Nkonkonsa, Samike Media, GH Kweku. We've met several times.
But it's just you people.
But I mean, there are a lot of people out there. But when we mentioned, I mean, off camera, Mr. Sid was saying that it has also been centered around Accra. But I'm sure there are a lot of people also outside Accra who are also blogging. But it would be very good for us to have an association, a unified body, to know that, okay, so that if any story comes out from our domain, we can clearly come out to say that this person doesn't belong to us. So that is what I mean, myself, Zion, and Nkonkonsa, we are all fighting to get a unified body, so that at least we'll be able to, know the balance. Or else, I think that if you don't take time, even though some of us are doing well, to the outside world, we are still, I mean, you have a long way to go.
I want to quickly go to them, but I've heard stories of people paying you guys to intentionally position them in a certain light. So, so that's when you say somebody will go naked and you want to focus on the person. I'm not talking about you. You are representing them here. So the headline is, oh, Miss G goes naked, shows boobs, shows this and that. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. It happens. It happens where people... So you know that this blogger constantly is posting this person, and every content that is coming is in a particular direction. It's like, I mean, like you said, showing boobs and all that. I mean,
that would be nice.
Please continue. You don't have time. Don't mind Halifax.
Yes, so a lot of people want to get into the limelight. I mean, because of that. So they will assign a certain blogger or a particular blogger to constantly, post about them. But at the end of the day, they come back to regret.
This is within your jurisdiction. You have a lot of bloggers at work, and people will ask, what have you been able to do beyond speaking to them personally?
So we started this conversation in 2005 when Eugene and I think Pajon and a few others thought that the internet, the digital space was getting bigger and a lot more individuals were getting in, and we needed to bring them together so that we share our experiences with them, get some support for them to get training. It was until 2017 that we went to the polls to solidify artwork. But as Kobe was saying, there are bloggers among us, but the bloggers are now, the bloggers started mainly in the arts and entertainment space. I mean, Adebras and the Zions, but now they are moving into every space of life. And that's where the conversation must be taken more seriously. Because moving in there, today or yesterday, he went to a corporate office, they did not welcome him. Tomorrow, they may welcome him because he has started changing his ways of reporting. He's adding socio-economic things. And so now, they should be told the difference between opinions, news writing, commentary, and all that, so that they take over, because that's the trend. So artwork started with us and tourism writing, and even in the conventional space, we did not have that respect. Somebody will look at me and say, "By you, cry, why are you with them? Me sitting here." They say, William, say, you were the deputy, you were the deputy news, deputy night editor of Daily Graphic, and you are still with these people." Wow. You see, exactly, it happens.
But that's all time will allow us, unfortunately. We haven't even had enough on this. I don't know when we can do this again, but William Esiedu is president of the Arts and Tourism Writers Association of Ghana. Halifax and Sado works with the Despite Media Group. He's an avid writer as well, and blogger Kobiche has been doing marvelous with all the campaigns and also writing. My name is Miss G. Thanks to the entire production team. Thanks to Owusu Warai. And we're back next week with another edition. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.